biggest secrets on planet Earth.
In 1975, UFO sightings spike in all corners of North America, many near military installations.
It's documented that unidentified craft were getting into restricted air zones, even above nuclear installations.
Who or what is entering restricted airspace? And what is the U.S. military doing to stop it? Unsealed case file, the Wurtsmith incident. Oscoda, Michigan, October 30th, 1975. On the shores of Lake Huron, civilian and military personnel witnessed strange lights in the sky.
In 1975, in Wurtsmith Air Force Base, there was an incident that was described as unidentified craft being seen outside of this military installation that shouldn't have been there. And so they had a tanker in the air that went to go check it out to try and see and determine what this craft was.
But as the tanker approaches the unidentified craft, something extraordinary happens.
There were very bright lights, but when the military tried to fly towards them, they switched off in sync.
As the tanker apparently approached these objects, they did confirm it, not only visually, but they confirmed it by radar. So whatever was there was actually there.
Despite visual and radar confirmation, the Wurtsmith incident, like many of its kind, would have remained hidden from the public without the Freedom of Information Act. Officials dismiss the incident as lights from an Apache helicopter, but the report leaves more questions than answers.
Was it truly a helicopter? Or was that just simply the label and the best definition that they could put on the craft?
Cases like the Wurtsmith incident mark an important change in the way UFOs are studied and reported inside the government. But to understand why, we must go back nearly a decade. Unsealed case file, the Condon Report.
In 1966, Edward Condon led what has now become known as the Condon Committee. And what they were doing was analyzing what the cases were that were still unidentified in the Blue Book system. And in 22 years, they investigated 12,768 sightings. Only 701 of those remained unidentified.
But many critics argue the Condon Committee's findings are a foregone conclusion.
His final conclusions in that report were that UFOs were nothing to be bothered with, nothing to be in, and his other conclusion was that from 1947 till 1968, when it was released, no scientific information, nothing of importance could be gleaned from the subject of UFOs.
In 1969, the US government terminated Project Blue Book and said, we are no longer interested in investigating UFO sightings.
There's something to this phenomena that the intelligence community knows is important, but doesn't want us to know about.
In 1969, the U.S. government shut down their official Air Force investigation called Project Blue Book, claiming that studying UFOs has added nothing to scientific advancement. But by the mid-1970s, public interest in UFOs is only getting stronger. And one incident in 1976 shocked civilians and the military to their core. Unsealed case file, the Tehran incident. Tehran, Iran, September 19th, 1976.
In September of 1976, in the middle of Tehran, Iran, an airbase there was receiving quite a few phone calls about a mysterious object that was seen hovering over the city.
Iranian Air Force generals scrambled 2 American-made F-4 Phantom fighter jets to intercept. But just as the first pilot realizes that the object is unlike anything he has ever seen before, his controls mysteriously shut down. He is called back to base, and the second F-4 takes a closer look.
As it got the same amount of distance as the first plane, something different happened. A second UFO appeared from the first one. Then all of a sudden, the second UFO jetted forward towards the incoming F-4 Phantom jet. So the next thing that he does is he arms his AIM-4 missile, flips the switch, and he's going to fire back. He goes to fire in 3, 2, 1, everything shuts off. He has no control over the fire. He sees an incoming object, and he can't do a thing.
The pilot fears for his life and takes evasive action, throwing his plane into a dive.
As he's seeing this object come towards him, again assuming it was a missile, before it impacts his craft, it makes a dip, it loops around his aircraft, and rejoins the original UFO, as pretty much to say, I don't think so, don't even try it.
The UFOs maneuver in a way that defy any known aircraft capabilities of the time.
There was actually a third UFO that appeared as the pilot saw it come out of the side of the original craft, then goes towards Earth and actually lands on the ground. It says to have cast a large light, about 1/3 of a kilometer in diameter, on the ground.
American officers are secretly dispatched to Tehran, where they conduct a lengthy interview with the Iranian pilots, officers, and air control personnel. The report is sent to top-level agencies within the U.S. government.
I've never seen a UFO document be forwarded that widely. The CIA, the NSA, the FBI, and again, even the White House received a copy of this report.
Why does the U.S. government take such an intense interest in the Tehran incident, 7 years after the Air Force said that studying UFOs does not further scientific knowledge?
Obviously, if a UFO can disable a fighter jet in Tehran, it can do it in the United States. Does the government take it seriously? Absolutely.
This proves beyond a doubt that the UFO phenomena was real. This proves beyond a doubt that they were still interested in it. And this proves beyond any doubt that this was technology that we don't even have today, decades later.
Experts today still cannot explain the Tehran incident.
But the most fascinating part to me is not necessarily the case itself, but it's the fact that we can read it. If you couple this case and you put it next to the hundreds and hundreds of blacked out cases on UFOs that are blacked out from top to bottom, if you can read this one, what in the heck is under the black in this one?
Encounters such as the Tehran incident raise questions about how much the government may be hiding from the public. In 1977, a leading independent UFO researcher named William Spaulding files a lawsuit against the CIA for violating the Freedom of Information Act.
Spaulding, like a lot of people in the UFO community, was fairly suspicious of the government, and he didn't believe it.